Today's video is all about this puzzle by RGS called Luncheon on the Boat by Pierre-August Renoir. And I want to tell you all about the artist. I want to tell you about the original artwork, and I want to talk to you about the puzzle. So this might be a little all over the place, but please bear with me. I'm going to try my best to structure it in a way that you can follow easily. So let's start with the artist. So the artist is Pierre-August Renoir. In case I mispronounce that, I'm also going to insert a clip where Google pronounced that, and I hope that mine is more or less correct and that even Google is not making a mistake.
Pierre-August Renoir.
So Pierre-August Renoir was a French artist who was a leading painter in the Impressionist style. So there's so much that I can tell you about the Impressionist style and all the artists that contributed in the development of that style. I did make a video for my previous channel about the style of Impressionism and all the artists that contributed, but I don't want to drag that video over to this channel, so I am considering to redo that video just to give you a reference video if I am referring to the Impressionists and the artist and everything surrounding that. But yeah, Pierre-August Renoir was definitely one of the artists influencing the style, one of the, let's call it, founding members of the style. And basically, what the style of Impressionism means is that these were the first artists that started painting from the street. They put up an easel and they start painting what they see. And it's usually nature and people and whatever they see on the side of the street. As opposed to the other artists at that stage that worked from studios and they worked from photos and drawings, and they had a whole other different outlook on how to get to the final image. In the mid 1880s, he broke away from the Impressionist style and he started focusing more on the discipline type of portraits, which was mostly female figures. So that is Pierre-August Renoir in a nutshell. I can talk so much longer just about him, but let's go on to this painting. So excuse me if I'm going to read this out. Luncheon on the Boating Party was the name of the original painting. It's an 1881 painting by the French Impressionist Pierre-August Renoir, exhibited in the 7th Impressionist exhibition in 1882. It was identified as the best painting by the show by 3 different critics. A lot of very interesting detail about the original painting. All of the people in this painting was friends of Pierre-August Renoir. And if you bear with me a moment, I can quickly pull up a photo image and number them, and I will tell you who all of them are. So Aline, seen holding the dog, was a seamstress and a part-time model for Renoir. Age 27 at the time of the painting, met Renoir in 1880. And they were married in 1890. And a very interesting thing that I heard about this painting and her specifically, she was initially supposed to be another girl, and he got annoyed with the other girl and replaced the model with Aline. So that was quite interesting. So the next one is Jules Affont, and he's the one here in the hat leaning against the railing. He was the son of the owner of Maison Fournier and was in charge of the boat rentals. So that was one of the friends. The third one is Louise Alphonsine leaning against the railing here. She's the daughter of the owner of the establishment and a war widow. This one here in the brown is Baron Royal Barbier, and he was formerly a cavalry officer and war hero, later became a major of colonial Siegen, and the two loves in his lives were women and horse racing. So another person here in brown was Jules Laforgue, a symbolist, poet, journalist, and a private secretary to Charles Ephrussi. Number 6 here is Ellen, as seen drinking from a glass. She was 24 at the time of this painting, and she was a Parisian actress and a mime, and sometimes artist for model Renoir, Monet, and Degas. So here in the blue is Angel, sometime Parisian actress and singer, and also a market flower seller. So number 8 here in the top hat is Charles Efrussi. He was a Russian-born. Efrussi was a wealthy art collector and historian, as well as being editor of the prestigious art magazine. He was a great supporter of the Impressionist painters. So Gustav here in the right corner is the one with the cigarette in his hand, and I don't know if you can see it on this painting because it's very not so detailed, but he was a good friend of Renoir, and he was a well-known painter in his own right. He's also a collector of Impressionist painting and one of Renoir's wealthy patrons. Renoir's prominent positioning of him here in the corner is not an accident, but a measure of his importance to Renoir. So Adrian here that you can see behind Gustav was a journalist. So the 11th person here is Eugene. He is an official at the Ministry of the Interior and close friend of Renoir, who often modeled for him in his paintings. Then here hidden in the corner is Paul, and he was a writer of short fiction and a journalist and a close friend of Renoir. And then last but not least is Jean Samery, and she is an actress, also a friend of Renoir. So the very interesting thing here is this was not just a bunch of people that he saw and started painting. Every single person in this painting meant something to him and was a friend or an acquaintance, and absolutely beautiful. I love the artwork. And I'm fortunate enough that I've got one more of his paintings as a puzzle in my collection, and that is the one with the two girls at the piano. I will insert a photo here. So I haven't done that one yet, so sometime in the future I will assemble that puzzle, and I will probably do another video for you guys on that image as well. So on to the puzzle. Let's talk puzzle. So, of course, fine art puzzles are some of the most difficult to assemble, but personally, I do enjoy it, and usually because the end result is worth every minute I spent on the puzzles. And for this specific one, I do believe that the colors might be slightly different from the puzzle than it would be on the original painting, as I've got nowhere to look at the original painting. There's no way that I can confirm, but I just suspect that there might be some color differences. So, what adds to the difficulty level of these puzzles is for these specifically, there's no distinct lines. There's no clear cut difference between this is the tablecloth, this is the shirt, this is the pants, this is whatever is on the table. So everything is very, I want to say, dotty. It's very brushstrokey. There's no defined lines to look at a piece and say this is going there. So one of the things that threw me a little bit about this puzzle is the whites on here. That is the two shirts and the tablecloth. None of that appears white is a true white on the single pieces. So if you've got the single pieces before you, all of these appear somewhat purple. And if you've got them in front of you, it's very difficult to establish which are shirt and which are tablecloth. And even the background pieces here that is purple, it was very confusing just between these. But using the process of elimination, I was eventually able to eliminate the pieces and put it together. So I will show you a quick time lapse and I'll talk you through how I assembled this puzzle. So as always, which is the easiest to start with, is taking out the edge pieces, flipping all the balance of the pieces, and then I put the edge together. So up until there, it was easy enough. I didn't struggle with the edge too much. And then the first thing that stood out to me was the orange, pink, peach color of that canopy at the left top corner. And I was able to put those together. And from that down, there was that poles, and they were quite distinct enough that I was able to recognize the pieces for that poles. And then I also took out all the yellow for the straw hats, and they came together kind of easy enough. I was able to put together two or three of the straw hats, and I had something else to work from. The next thing that I started working on was the whites, which actually appeared on as purple on the pieces. And the first one that came in was the one here at the right hand bottom corner, and that purple was slightly different from the others in the sense that the creases in the shirt lay in a certain direction, and I was able to distinguish that it is the shirt and not the tablecloth. From there, I already took out most of the white pieces, so I was able to put together the tablecloth. So from there on out, I just worked off of whatever was already there. So I started working on that girl that leaned on the railing. I put more pieces for the background in, worked off from the straw hats, and my strategy here was just to eliminate pieces. For every piece that I could put into the puzzle, it's one piece less that I had to consider for something else. And this was a painstakingly slow process. And again, eliminate, eliminate, eliminate. At one point, I was able to get this guy behind Gustav's jacket in, and there I started to realize, okay, from the pieces that's left, there's not much that got that texture with the very fine lines. So those I was able to put together. The girl here in the front with the flowers in her hat, I was able to start recognizing the reds. And there was only two places with red, and that's on the two girls, the one in the hat and the other one in her sleeve. Then, strange enough, the dark colors started to stood out for me, and that is the dresses and the pants and the very dark corners. So I was able to eliminate those very dark pieces, which helped a lot to reduce the amount of pieces to consider. And then it was the center of the puzzle and the rest of the people that remained. The girl here in the lighter blue dress with the white collar, she came in quite nicely. And again, it's because at that stage there's not much other white or blue pieces left. And I knew that, okay, these pieces can only belong here. And again, process of elimination. Take out one piece, put it in, and you've got one less to consider. So again, very, very painstakingly slow process, but so worth it in the end. I absolutely love the image. I love Renoir's artwork, and this was my second time assembling this puzzle, and I believe it won't be the last time. I will definitely do this again in the future. And just for interest's sake, this was a Christmas gift by one of my dear friends, and I couldn't be any happier with this puzzle. I'm either only one that looks into the history of the painting and the artist when I'm doing fine art puzzles. I would love to know if you do the same. But I do know it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I totally understand. These are some of the most challenging puzzles that are difficult, but for me, the end result is worth every minute I spent on them. They are so beautiful, so interesting, and I just love it. So by the time I was born, this painting was 100 years old. So I think I just gave away my age. So I would just like to say thank you for those of you that watch that don't even like fine art puzzles. A special thank you to you guys. I really appreciate it. And take care. I'll see you in the next one.